Hello everyone, we're doing this again. I wrote this one almost 2 months ago and for some reason haven't recorded it, but we'll do it now. Marketing. So, a couple months ago, maybe a little more at this point, I released the new channel trailer, Introduction to Lamentations of the Flame Princess. And, the one where I'm trying to run naked through the snow and my knee's still screwed up from that, so... Anyway, I've gotten a few questions like, why do you do things like this? Don't you want to be taken seriously? Paraphrased, of course. And the short version is, for those that get it, no explanation is necessary. For those that don't get it, no explanation will do. But I don't do short versions here, so let's unpack. For the record, I looked this up. I first started doing the naked gimmick on December 31st, 2008. It was on the Lamentations of the Flame Princess blog, post titled Tools of the Trade. So over 15 years of doing this, starting before LOTFP was even a business. And 15 years of people going, oh no, you're not acting serious business. Which is fair enough, as in some situations, I should be more serious business. But not in this case. Or any case when I'm public facing. The serious business should be when I'm actually working, when nobody sees. But for facing the public, I don't really care what the man on the street thinks, but I certainly don't look for a tight ass who's very concerned with their dignity and public image to deliver my fucking fun time goods. In fact, I'd consider someone like that to have nothing to say to me about anything that I enjoy. Because, well, I won't do the Zoom. I'll just get in here. Get in here close. I have a secret for you. Yeah. All the people who make games were clowns. That's all we are. Like birthday clowns, they show up at your house and they entertain the children. And us game designers, writers, publishers, we do the same damn thing. We come into your home, by proxy with our books, and entertain you. But because we do it through writing and books, we get to pretend like we're sophisticated and intellectual. And the reality is, the books we produce and the balloon animals that a clown makes serve the same function for the same reason. But in order to seem important, to make you think their products are of a higher class than balloon animals, most game publishers aim to distort your perception of the work through marketing. And I propose there are 4 basic ways that the majority of game publishers and designers want the public to see them. The purpose of them all is simply to make you forget that all of the author's noses honk when you squeeze them. The first type, and these are in no meaningful order, is the designer. These are the features of this system. This is how the rules create the game. Like the system is the game. Like the system is some sort of ink and paper AI that creates the experience of a role-playing game. Like they're trying to tell you something. Like, using our system, you will have 10.2% more quantifiable fun. Or, our system solves the problem of gaming being 20 minutes of fun condensed into 4 hours. Like you're buying a set of industrial machinery instead of imagination fuel. The second type is the responsible citizen. The kind that thinks the purpose of stories is to establish and uphold desired social norms, and the purpose of social gatherings is to strengthen the bonds between individuals, so our product is designed specifically with these things in mind. Like someone looked at some pseudo-academic articles explaining stories and games and decided that not intentionally being in accordance with all of that would be like anti-science or something, socially destructive, resulting in a belief of something akin, not exactly, but akin to socialist realism for creative works. And their games of make-believe are intended to be tools for the social good, rather than personal amusements or, you know, imagination fuel. The third is the insipid fuck that I call the hugger. These are the people that pretend that their work has bite. They peddle fake darkness, counterfeit horror, sham conflict. And then they childproof it all. Face the horrors of the night. Experience the darkness in the human soul. But don't worry, we've got all the safety tools to make sure you won't have to really think about the horrors your characters are facing. We'll take care of you. See how easy we've made it to be brave. And for that, you deserve a hug. To these people, their job is to make you feel good instead of providing, you know, imagination fuel. Then there are the servitors, because I'm really good at making up these names. The servitors. These are the people that act like their job is to give the public exactly what they want. This game will help you have fun with your friends in the exact way that is popular today. Go on quests. Be cool. Have a power fantasy. High five, you awesome person. Would you like some licensed property? Sure you would. Let's take a poll to see what we should do next. We're here for you. See, it's that last group I understand the least. I get that there are autistic system crunchers. I get that there are people that want their entertainments to help them think only the purest of thoughts, so they don't end up having to cross themselves or give a land acknowledgement, or whatever penance their group does to feel better about something they didn't do by not doing anything. And, you know, people want to go on the roller coaster and get the thrill of danger without there being any danger. It's all fucking dumb, but I get it. But the servitors? What the actual fuck are they doing? I mean, it's like they think that having their own voice is somehow unprofessional. So instead of ever having an original, okay, that's difficult. Instead of ever having a personal idea that their audience can take or leave, they stick their finger in the air and follow which way the wind is blowing, and somehow still go to bed at night thinking they're part of a creative field. These people don't give you imagination fuel, they give you posters of cars and jets. And I really, honestly, don't even know what the fuck my industry is supposed to be at this point. I mean, everyone wants to present their game as a comfort blanket for their players and present themselves as the okay swell guy. Don't worry, everyone. I'm relatable. This game is everything you already want. What the fuck happened to gaming that it's full of people who want to be seen as nice, respectable cubicle workers who always need to be cognizant of the latest HR rules concerning their imagination? I'll tell you what fucking happened. Back in our day, our miniatures were made out of fucking lead. And whatever else that does to a person, it loosens up the sphincter so you're not a tight-ass prude shit motherfucker. Lead is heavy metal. These days, people play with plastic and inert metal miniatures, and that's what's gotten stuck in their brains. And unlucky for me, and everyone else, I don't seem to share these relatable or plastic impulses. I mean, if I'm like you, that's a pure coincidence. And it's a sure sign that you need to change because I am a mess. And I'm dysfunctional. And nobody should be like me. And I'm trying to change who I am, little by little, as much as I can manage. Yeah, I signal the things I like, but tastes and opinions are, unfortunately, not a person. If I go to a movie and that room is packed, they aren't my people because we have exactly one thing in common. We wanted to be in that room at that time to watch that movie. And that's as far as it goes. And in that moment, that's enough. And no, oh no, my desired direction of change is not towards other people. I mean, people. Can't stand them. Can't live without them. Story time. When I was growing up, the nearest amusement park was Playland in Rye, New York. They have an old wooden roller coaster called the Dragon Coaster. It's just about 100 years old now. Wikipedia says it's still there. I haven't seen it since the 80s. Anyway, at one point on the coaster, you go into a dragon's mouth. And legend has it, once upon a time, there was some guy that was too tall or stood up at the wrong time, and the top of the dragon's mouth took his head clean off, and it landed in the lap of the person in the rear car of the roller coaster. Whether there's any truth to that or not, or just a story to tell kids to, get them to not fuck with the safety restraints, the point is, as a kid, I believed it. So the whole thing about going on the roller coaster during the annual trip to the amusement park came with the understanding that having fun meant risking death. Actual physical death. No risk, no fun. And RPGs. People thought that RPGs were satanic and made people kill themselves. I know most of my audience is old and remembers that, but there's a few of you that I don't know if you actually get this. That this was real. It was not a joke. It didn't matter that it wasn't true, that RPGs were satanic and made people kill themselves. It didn't matter that it was wrong, especially when it came to actual Dungeons and Dragons, which was the public whipping boy for the entire hobby. And it did make me feel like I was part of a secret club, that I knew a real truth about the world that most people didn't. But it was a problem. People had their books thrown out by their family, their personal creative work destroyed. Hell, some kids got the shit beat out of them by their parents for playing D&D back in those days. All from parents who were told that Dungeons and Dragons was bad, but didn't care if their kids were playing, for example, Palladium. So what do we have there? Intense judgment, a call to action, absolute ignorance. That is a great combination. And that is how the world works. I mean, what else was I into as a kid? Not heavy metal yet, but comic books? What happens if you're into comic books when I was a kid? Oh, let's slap the geek around. Pro wrestling? Trash for trash people. Hell, reading for fun, which I started doing in like 2nd or 3rd grade. Reading for fun, that was enough to be treated like shit as a kid. And all of this was reinforced by teachers, police, the news, both print and broadcast, local and national. And yes, teachers. They say they want you to read, but if you want to read something they don't approve of and they find out about it, you dare bring a bad reading thing to school? They will embarrass the shit out of you in front of the class. Personal experience. And, like, people were trying to tell me all the time, oh, don't you know wrestling is fake? As if I didn't know, even as a little kid, and as if that wasn't part of the reason I liked it. But people don't seem to get that it's not any more fake than news, or politics, or school. And that is how I view the world. Still, I'm 49 years old, and I've never seen anything to disavow me of any of that. And I've gotten an overwhelming amount of confirmation over the years. It's just programming. None of it is real. What is real? Well, fuck if I know. I mean, I can act like I know something's real, but I don't know. And that's why imagination fuel is my life's work. I don't have to care about what's real. Fuck reality. Just fuck reality. Both what we're told it is and whatever it actually is. And one more story, and I think this is all relevant anyway. When I started growing my hair out, and I'm having a good hair day today. Sorry. When I started growing my hair out after high school, I was visiting Grandma up in the villages. Yes, she lived in the villages. And she kept bugging me to get my hair trimmed, and eventually I relented just to get her to shut the fuck up. And as it turned out, she'd made a deal ahead of time with the barber, and all my hair got chopped off. That is the last time I went to a barber, 31 years ago now. Well, okay, I've been to a barber a few times to get like a fancy shave, but never to touch my hair. And just so I'm not defaming Grandma too much, she also gave me the money to print the first issue of Lamentations of the Flame Princess metal zine back in the 90s, so wasn't all bad. Anyway, the point of saying all of this, and I hope I haven't told all of these stories on the channel before, I've had plenty of experience with normal people in my life, and I have no interest in appealing to them, appeasing them, relating to them, listening to them, or otherwise giving a shit. I don't intend any hostility to them beyond me and the things that represent my tastes being present in their vicinity. I mean, I don't think that should count as hostility, but they sure act like it is. But I'm not really interested in their world. If they're interested in mine as a momentary distraction from theirs, well, cool, welcome. That's what we do here. But if you expect me to become one of you, we're both going to have a very bad time. I mean, I have never gone along with what people expected of me and felt anything other than shame and regret. So fuck this shit. Anyway, what this video is supposed to be about is the futility of marketing. Because the idea of what I'm supposed to be doing with marketing is letting people know why they might like the things I publish. But the problem is, I don't know what people actually like. And I wrote here, I don't even care. That's not exactly true, but when I see things that people like, it's more like I'm an alien, just observing and going, what is up with these creatures? I mean, what do I care about? Well, it's making the kinds of things that I want to see made, and then selling enough of it that I get to keep doing it. And how do I do that? Well, the conventional wisdom is that I have to create positive associations between myself, my brand, and the thing the public likes and cares about. But again, what the public likes and cares about? The fuck's that got to do with me? I mean, if I had the tastes and was in sync with what the public likes and cares about, then I could buy the leading role-playing games and be satisfied instead of having to make my own shit, right? I mean, yeah. I am constantly confused and mystified by what takes the public attention. True. But what about like the RPG public? Just contrasting myself against how I see the bigger popular publishers and how they present themselves, and the RPG marketing that I see, usually Facebook ads promoting some Kickstarter or another. And honestly, Whenever I see promotional material, marketing for other role-playing games, I'm just kind of like, oh my God, why would they say that? So let's compare myself to the types of RPG marketers that I talked about earlier. As far as being a designer, I am absolutely not interested in tight, clever systems. That's why I used the Open Game License to adapt a system I had intimate familiarity with. If my native system had been Traveller or RuneQuest or GURPS or whatever the fuck else, then I would have adapted that and absolutely nothing would be different, and if it was a tight system, I'd make it squishier. System doesn't matter, and it's the most boring part of any role-playing game, and the more a game tries to make its system matter, the worse the game is. And that's a catchy Twitter post to try to appeal to people, Oh, wrote this a while ago. I was just doing a convention last weekend, and I seriously wish I could rig up a thing above my table at conventions, so when people ask, so what's the system like? It would just drop green slime on them. Not that you can't do that on television, gelatin and oatmeal or whatever they made it out of, but the acidic monster that would reduce them to a bloody sludge puddle. That's how little I like having that conversation. And I don't have a poker face, so I'm guessing whenever someone comes up and asks me, so what's the system like? They just watch my soul die on the spot. And now for the summer conventions, all you assholes are going to be coming up to me, oh, what's the system like? Just to fuck with me now, aren't you? Anyway. As far as being a responsible citizen, I do want to repeat a story. I know I've told this before, that the last time I voted in any election, 20 years ago now, 2004 US presidential election, the guy I voted for got 0.32% of the vote. If it's all about what kind of world do we want to live in, me and you, and I mean any single one of you watching this, any single person who buys my game or plays it or doesn't, we're in conflict to some extent about how we want the world to be. I mean, whoever you're voting for in the next election, wherever you live, I hope they lose. How's that? I don't want their agenda influencing anyone else's life. I don't know you. I don't know where you live. I don't know who you're voting for. I still stand by that statement. So, the point with that is, trying to appeal to people based on a common worldview, that can't work for me. And my game making you feel good, the hugger? Wait, fucking retarded? No! I mean, I remember when Death Frost Doom came out almost 15 years ago, there were instances, more than one, of people reporting and complaining that their group refused to go into the dungeon. That's for a game that's all about exploring dungeons and facing danger. Even in the OSR, where character death was accepted as a normal thing to happen, I'd written something with an atmosphere so foreboding that people were refusing to take their fake people into a fake place to play pretend. How awesome is that? Or Death Love Doom. The multiple reports of people taking their characters into Bloodworth Manor and after just a couple rooms completely noping out of the adventure. That is all the life to me as a writer and designer. Or more recently, Curse of the Daughter Brides. You know, an editor noped out. It's just like, oh, this is too much. And I point out in the booklet, I point out in the text exactly when he reached his limit. Or Better Than Any Man. You know, in the original version that came out for Free RPG Day in 2013, that got thrown in the garbage by so many of the Free RPG Day retailers. You know, there's the one story that someone went dumpster diving behind the game store to save copies. And one employee, might have been the owner, I don't remember at this point, complained to a customer in the store wanting to pick up the book for Free RPG Day about how the adventure was all about killing children. So what did I do the next year for Free RPG Day? I doubled down on the killing children part. Made Doom Cave of the Crystal-Headed Children. And nothing worked for me as far as marketing like Free RPG Day. I mean, we supplied a full-on giant adventure when we were encouraged to just do short mini adventures with quick start rules. We gave away hardcovers. We gave away full color hardcovers. High quality stuff, stitched binding, the works. That was the best advertising ever. Sales always leapt every year in the wake of Free RPG Day. It didn't have to explain the thing, didn't have to make personal appeals or pretend to be relatable. I just had to show people the thing. No wonder we had to be stopped out of that. You know, I mean, people have been inundated for so long with games that want to hug them or reinforce them or validate them or just give them smiles. Basically, the game equivalent of Disneyfying the old fairy tales. That they can't seem to accept that someone just doesn't want to fucking do that. Or they assume that is what you're doing, and so they think you're some sort of psychopathic pervert, because obviously anyone who makes or likes this kind of material is obviously reinforcing their own behaviors, because that's what fiction does, right? Actually, exercising your imagination means moving beyond your comfortable limits. If you don't do that, it's not imagination, it's regurgitation. Horror, which is where my mind goes when imagining things, and that's why LOTFP so often has a horror focus, absolutely requires thought experiments with things that are not okay. And if you can't do that, moving beyond your comfortable limits, you fail. Creatively anyway. Commercially is different. For example, I've seen so many Lovecraft pastiches and game adaptations where people are explicit in their condemnation of the man himself and are so careful to sidestep all the truly uncomfortable inspirations that for all intents and purposes, their work is no longer cosmic horror or cosmicism of any kind. It's exclusively humanist. Humanist cosmic horror is what some people, actually try to say is the right way to do things in a Lovecraftian context. Fucking hell. Nothing is more self-defeating than humanist cosmic horror. And that's just one relevant example. Like, horror is not simply a list of tropes that define a genre. It's not a checklist. And declaring, again, some pseudo-academic nonsense, I've seen people say shit like this. The purpose of horror is to teach people that monsters can be fought and defeated and blah blah. It's like, no, that's Scooby-Doo. To create something you intend as horror, you have to intend to horrify. Actually horrify. That means risking being genuinely offensive to be triggering in the real and true meaning of the term. Because you have to be playing with the horror. You have to be playing with the things that are not okay. And if you're dealing with the weird, then you have to actually risk being too obscure or confusing or unclear, because you're working not with, or shouldn't be anyway, the established weird tropes, but actually trying to engage in something other. And that's what we're trying to do here. You know, we're trying to work with the true spirit of the weird, of horror, of fantasy. Not simply regurgitate the common tropes, although we do that often enough, don't we? But we're attempting to create something that's more. And whether we succeed, how often we succeed, that's not for me to say. That's for you to judge. And if I go by public commentary, our success rate is all over the goddamn place. Up and down and up and down. But when you aim for the stars, sometimes you can get to the moon, sometimes you explode on the launch pad. That's life. I mean, some commentary I agree with, and I see how we've really succeeded or failed with some of our books. In other cases, I think y'all are dead wrong in your collective judgment, and fuck you very much for that. But the point is, it's what we're trying to do. It's the inspiration behind everything. And I don't know how to put that on a goddamn graphic in a Facebook ad. It's not as catchy as 200 new classes for world's most corporate role-playing game. Go on quest with your friends. We're almost done here. But before we finish, do not hit like on this video. Do not subscribe. And stay the fuck away from that bell icon. I think it's up that way. Just stay away from it. I've never used that. I bet that's real annoying when that goes off. And to help with the algorithm, just say in the comments below, just say this: I hate this shit. If we can get a few hundred people saying shit in the comments, I bet the algorithm will be horny as all fuck and spray its jizz all over my channel. Ah! Honk. So, in closing, to me, there are just two things that are important to communicate about RPGs or any creative work, really, to an audience. This is all I require. What is the atmosphere? And what is the attitude? And that's all you need to make your decision to get on board and try it out, or to just fuck off.